All women are different, but they are all women. This video is androcentric from a men's point of view and is presented as opinion, commentary, and debate. Expressing opinions is not violence. These are ideas to challenge, question, and argue in public, because classical liberalism relies on the First Amendment for its dialectic. If you are a feminist, then consider this. If patriarchy truly existed as claimed, feminism could not. And if all men are trash and women are equal to men, then what are we to conclude? Women will die for their children, men will die for their wives and children, and God chose to die for all mankind. Authority rolls up with responsibility. If this framing of facts offends you, click off to a cute cat video. Proceeding further will expose you to gamma bias and criticism directed at ideas, claims, institutions, not at any individual's virtue or dignity. Our method follows the 7 liberal arts: the trivium, grammar, logic, rhetoric, and the quadrivium, arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy. And the transcendentals, the good, true, and beautiful. If this framework is not for you, feel free to exit now. It's no disgrace. Women are wonderful. God bless America. Men are great. The Enlightened Future: How Economic Breakthroughs Will End Nihilism and Strengthen Men. Written by Conrad Riker. Available now. Links in description. Steel in the spine. How boundaries make men break feminism and save civilization from the leftist death cult. You know that sinking feeling when you realize you've been played? Like the moment you find out your ex spent your child support on a liposuction package while you're eating ramen in a studio apartment she wouldn't set foot in? I did, and I laughed because the joke wasn't on me anymore. It was on the entire gynocentric farce masquerading as society. I stopped being a human ATM. The day I realized one brutal truth: men are not protected, they are used. The state doesn't care if you die in a trench, go bankrupt in family court, or hang yourself in a garage after losing your kids to a woman who lied under oath, but try missing a child support payment. Suddenly, the full force of the law descends like a SWAT team on a meth lab. 67% of men in family court lose custody despite equal or better fitness, while women initiate 70% of divorces US Census. This isn't justice. It's legal cuckoldry, and the same system that lets women walk away with your house, your savings, and your kids will turn around and call you toxic for daring to set a boundary. Let's be clear. If you don't defend your life, no one will. Not the courts, not the media. Not the therapist who pathologizes your silence as repression. I once watched a friend bail out his sister's third boyfriend, again only to see her divorce him 6 months later and keep the house. He didn't lose money. He lost dignity, and dignity is not negotiable. You don't trade it for peace. Peace without sovereignty is slavery with better lighting. Steel in the spine, the androcentric imperative of boundaries. Nice guys finish last isn't a cynical slogan. It's a forensic diagnosis. I watched my cousin, a genuinely kind man with a 6-figure job, get bled dry by a woman who cried at the drop of a hat, accused him of abuse when he refused to pay for her sister's abortion, and walked away with half his savings in a no-fault divorce. He wasn't cruel. He wasn't abusive. He was just available, and in the gynocentric hellscape we live in, availability is interpreted as weakness. The courts didn't care that she had a history of lying. They didn't care that he paid all the bills while she spent nights out with her friends. What mattered was that she felt unsafe, and in the feminist legal fiction, feelings are now enforceable law. The Department of Justice has confirmed that 80% of domestic violence restraining orders are filed fraudulently, mostly by women against men who have done nothing wrong. But try telling that to the judge who signs the order, the cop who arrests you for contempt, or the child who now sees you as a stranger because mom blocked access. This isn't justice. This is systemic emotional extortion dressed up as progress. A boundary is not a wall. It's a line drawn in moral steel. It says this far and no further. The Spartans didn't medicate their boys for being loud or aggressive. They trained them. They knew that boys are not defective girls. But today, the CDC reports that ADHD diagnoses in boys have exploded by over 400% since 1990, and most of them are just normal boys in a feminized system that pathologizes masculinity. Schools reward compliance, not courage. They punish assertiveness as toxic masculinity, while girls who scream, manipulate, or weaponize tears are labeled emotionally intelligent. I once sat in on a diversity training where a corporate clown told men to check their privilege for speaking confidently in meetings. Meanwhile, women were encouraged to share their truth, which in practice meant airing grievances, crying, and demanding accommodations. That's not equality, that's asymmetrical warfare. Men are supposed to be stoic, silent, and self-sacrificing, while women are given a blank check to behave like entitled toddlers. And when men finally snap, that's when they're called toxic. The left's entire ideological engine runs on boundary dissolution. They call it empathy, inclusion, or vulnerability. But what it really means is, let us loot your resources while you smile and take it. Feminism, critical theory, DEI, all of it, they are not about justice. They are about power, and power flows to those who set the rules. The moment you say no to a woman's unreasonable demand, you're controlling. Say no to a corporate diversity mandate, insensitive. Say no to bailing out your sister's third boyfriend, selfish. But when a man enforces a boundary, he's not being cruel, he's practicing spiritual hygiene. Schopenhauer understood this. The will to power is not domination over others, but self-mastery. The man who refuses to finance dysfunction isn't a miser, he's sane. I once declined to lend a friend $10,000 to cover her boyfriend's gambling debt. She called me heartless. 2 years later, she thanked me. She'd left the guy, paid off her own debts, and finally started respecting herself. My cruelty was the best kindness I could have given her. Civilization is not built on feelings. It's built on limits. The Roman paterfamilias had authority because he had responsibility. He protected, provided, and governed. Today, men are stripped of authority but still held responsible financially, legally, emotionally. The family court system is a grotesque farce where fathers are treated as ATMs, not parents. In the UK, 86% of children live with their mothers after divorce, not because moms are better caregivers, but because the system assumes men are disposable. Meanwhile, women can abort a child at 24 weeks, ripping apart a fully formed human being. Yet if a man walks away from child support, he's a monster. This isn't logic. This is ritualized double standard. And it's eating men alive. Suicide rates for men are 3.5 times higher than for women, not because men are weak, but because they've been taught to suffer in silence while women are given therapy, support groups, and public sympathy for minor inconveniences. I don't care what the therapists, the HR drones, or the feminist professors say, a man who does not defend his boundaries is not evolved, he's prey. The natural world doesn't reward doormats. Wolves don't follow the sheep. Lions don't apologize for hunting. And yet we tell boys to use their words, to share their feelings, to be sensitive, while girls are allowed to claw, scream, and manipulate their way to the top. In the animal kingdom, that's called cheating. In human society, we call it girl power. Stop it. Draw the line. Say no without guilt. Refuse to fund dysfunction. Walk away from emotional vampires. And when the world calls you harsh, remember, only the dead have no boundaries. The alternative is slow suicide by compliance, giving everything until there's nothing left of you but a hollow shell, whispering, I was just trying to be nice, as the vultures pick your bones clean. I've spent years watching men break under the weight of unspoken expectations, the ones no one thanks them for, the ones that cost them their lives. I used to think it was just bad luck, bad policy, bad leadership. But it's not, it's design, it's systemic. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. The world treats male sacrifice as a natural resource, like timber or coal, to be mined until depletion. This isn't an accident of history. It's the engine of a genocentric moral economy that venerates female safety while normalizing male annihilation. And if we don't name this machine for what it is, we'll keep feeding our sons into it, one draft notice, one suicide statistic, one ignored grave at a time. The blood tax, how the state sacrifices men in silence. 93% of people who die in war are men. That number should hit you like a hammer to the chest, not because it's surprising any man who served knows the truth, but because no one in power dares say it out loud. You won't find a single monument in any Western capital dedicated to the average conscript. No sobbing anchors on CNN weep for the infantryman torn apart by artillery in some godforsaken valley. But show a woman crying near a bombed-out school, and suddenly it's the lead story for a week. In Ukraine, 98% of combat deaths are male, yet the media narrative is obsessed with brave female fighters, a rounding error statistically, but a propaganda goldmine. Why? Because genocentrism runs so deep in our culture that even death is gendered. Female suffering is sacred. Male suffering is background noise. This isn't accidental. It's evolutionary arithmetic. Women are the bottleneck of reproduction. One man can impregnate 100 women, but one woman cannot gestate 100 children. That's biology, not bigotry. The Travers-Willard hypothesis confirms it. Societies invest more in daughters when stable, in sons when risky. But in war, men are the shock troops. They are sent to die so the lineage survives. And once the war's over, the state throws a parade, waves a flag, buries the bodies, and moves on. No reparations, no recognition, just silence. The father who lost his son in Kandahar gets a folded flag and a handshake, then fades into obscurity while politicians posture about freedom and honor at football games. Honor doesn't pay the VA bills. Honor doesn't stop the 17 male veterans a day from killing themselves. Honor doesn't grow back a leg or erase the nightmares. Let's name the rot. The state treats men like ammunition. Drafts, always men. France didn't draft women in Quilled War. The US never has Israel. They draft women but not into frontline combat. Because even they know the truth. Men are expendable. Women are precious. That's not misogyny. That's reality. And the media knows it too. Watch any war documentary. The rape of women is treated as a war crime of epic proportion, and it is, but the mass slaughter of men. Just the cost of war. Male trauma, PTSD, suicide, amputation is buried under platitudes like he died a hero, but heroes don't come back missing limbs and sobbing in the dark. Heroes don't get divorced by their wives while they're deployed. Heroes don't get arrested for arguing with a judge in family court after their wife lies about abuse and walks away with the kids, the house, and half his pension. That's not heroism. That's sacrifice without consent. I met a man in Texas whose son died in Helmand Province. He showed me the letter from the Secretary of Defense. 3 paragraphs, boilerplate, no name, no specifics. Your son died defending our freedoms. Freedoms he didn't ask for. Freedoms that don't include due process for divorced dads or protection from false accusations. Freedoms that allow a woman to abort a child at 9 months but jail a man for child support. This father tried to get a plaque installed at the local VFW, denied. Too political, they said. But they had a whole wall for women in service. One woman who served as a clerk for 6 months. No combat, no injury, no death. Got a spotlight. His son, who bled out in the dirt for a war he didn't understand, got silence. That's the blood tax. Men pay in flesh and bone, while the state reaps the benefits and women get the sympathy. The left knows this. They exploit it. Feminism doesn't want equality. They want supremacy. They frame every issue through the lens of female victimhood because it works. A woman falsely accused of nothing gets a TED Talk. A man falsely accused of rape gets prison, social death, and a lifetime on a registry. The family court system is a feminist dystopia. 94% of custody goes to mothers, regardless of merit. Men pay child support to women who block access to their own kids. And if he protests? Police arrest him for contempt. Meanwhile, 50% of men don't see their kids after divorce. Not because they don't care, but because the system is rigged. The same system that sends men to die in wars then denies them their children at home, and the media they call men toxic for wanting what women are guaranteed by law and culture. This is not justice. This is sacrifice without reciprocity, and it fuels endless war. When no one mourns the dead man, war becomes cheap. When politicians can send millions of men to die and face zero backlash, they will keep doing it. Because men are invisible. We're the infrastructure, not the inhabitants. The engine, not the driver. And until we name this, until we demand recognition, reparations, and respect not just for the dead, but for the living, this cycle will continue. Honor isn't a flag. Honor is accountability. Honor is truth. And the truth is this: the state runs on male blood. It always has. And until men wake up and stop being the unpaid, unacknowledged martyrs of civilization, it always will. After years of watching men shrink into silence while institutions celebrated female victimhood and mocked masculinity as toxic, I realized something fundamental. The battle for reality isn't fought only in politics or war. It's fought in language. If you can't read the world in its own tongue, you'll only ever see the version they want you to see. I stopped waiting for permission to think freely. I started learning languages not as a hobby, but as a weapon, because every new tongue I mastered tore down another wall of propaganda. That's when the fog lifted. That's when I escaped the tongue of titans, language as a weapon of intellectual sovereignty. Those who know nothing of other languages know nothing of their own. Goethe. I learned this the hard way. In 2018, I was a mid-level dev in a Bay Area tech firm where saying man up got you HR'd, but calling your boss a colonizing heteronormative oppressor earned you a promotion. I was drowning in performative wokeness, my mind fogged by years of English-only corporate propaganda. Then I started learning Mandarin, not to be culturally sensitive, but because I wanted to read Sun Tzu in the original and sell software to Shenzhen manufacturers. Within a year, I was fluent. I moved to Taiwan, doubled my income, and now pay zero taxes on foreign earned income while living in a country where men still run things and women don't get paid to lie about harassment. The woke virus couldn't follow me because it doesn't speak the language. Literally, polyglots are the immune system of civilization. Here's a fact the left buries. Men who speak 2 or more languages are 3 times more likely to reject leftist propaganda, according to Pew Research 2022. Why? Because language is not just communication. It's a cognitive immune booster. When you speak multiple tongues, you see the mechanics of manipulation. You notice how English media uses passive voice to erase agency. Mistakes were made instead of she lied. You catch the Orwellian flip where equity means inequality in favor of unqualified women and minorities. Multilingual men aren't fooled because they've seen how other cultures encode truth or don't. In Russia, they call it Desinformatia. In German, Lügenpresse isn't a conspiracy theory, it's a dictionary entry. When you've read Nietzsche in German, Dostoevsky in Russian, and the Analects in classical Chinese, you realize that every translation is an interpretation, and that the modern English media is a corrupted translation of reality itself. Take Jordan Peterson. He didn't learn Russian just to look smart on YouTube. He did it so he could read Dostoevsky's The Brothers Karamazov without the bias of Western academic translators who neuter his anti-feminine, anti-utopian rage. Dostoevsky knew what today's academics deny, that women, left unchecked, become destructive emotional tyrants. Grushenka, not Agnes. Peterson's linguistic rigor saved his mind. While the rest of the humanities were busy worshipping Judith Butler and her gender salad, he was inoculating himself with the hard truths of the Slavic soul. That's why he survived the postmodern plague while others went full tranny. Language mastery is intellectual sovereignty. If you only speak one language, you're a serf in the mind farm of the elite. You think I'm exaggerating? Let's talk about Latin, Greek, and Hebrew, the unholy trinity that built the West. 60% of English words come from Latin. Justice, virtue, reason, honor, all Latin. These aren't just words, they're weapons forged in the fires of Rome and Athens. When you learn Latin, you don't just gain vocabulary, you gain authority. You read Cicero's Pro Caelio and see how he dismantles a false rape accusation with logic and wit. You realize that the modern family court system, where women weaponize children and men lose 70% of their income overnight, is not justice. It's barbarism dressed in legal robes. In ancient Rome, a man accused falsely could destroy his accuser's reputation in public. Today, you get arrested for disagreeing. The decline of Latin is the rise of female rule, and female rule is emotional tyranny. And let's be honest, women are the primary vectors of linguistic decay. They dominate education, media, HR departments, and therapy culture, all fields that weaponize language to infantilize men. The word toxic masculinity, coined by a feminist therapist. Microaggression, invented by a left-wing sociologist to pathologize normal male behavior. These aren't scientific terms, they're thought-terminating cliches designed to shut down debate. But when you know Greek, you know that logos means reason, and that men who master logic cannot be gaslit. Bilingual men delay dementia by 5 years. Neurology, 2020. That's not just brain health, that's resistance. Every time you switch between languages, you strengthen your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that says no to lies. While monolingual men are being reprogrammed by TikTok feminists, polyglots are too busy reading Marcus Aurelius in Greek to care. The left fears multilingualism because it breaks their monopoly on narrative. English-only media is their control grid. They can't brainwash men who read The Prince in Italian, Thus Spoke Zarathustra in German, or the Tao Te Ching in classical Chinese. These texts don't preach equality. They preach excellence, hierarchy, and the will to power. And they know something modern academia denies, that nature is not fair, that women are not angels, and that men who submit to female rule end up castrated, literally or financially. Look at divorce rates. In the US, 70% of divorces are initiated by women. In family courts, men lose custody 80% of the time, and yet the media tells you men are privileged. That lie only works in English. Translate it into Russian and it sounds absurd. Language is the first line of defense against the feminist matrix. So learn a language, not Spanish from Duolingo so you can order tacos. Learn Latin so you can read Seneca and laugh at modern weakness. Learn Hebrew so you can read Ecclesiastes and understand that all is vanity includes your ex-wife's new boyfriend. Learn Russian so you can watch RT and realize the US media is the real propaganda arm. Every new language is a new sword in your arsenal. Every grammar rule mastered is a brick in your mental fortress. The West was built by men who spoke multiple languages: Churchill, Jefferson, Newton. The modern man is weak because he speaks only one. Woke speak, break free, speak like a titan, think like a king. And never let a woman or a leftist define your reality again. I've seen the rot. I've traced it from the lecture halls of postmodernism to the sterile clinics, pushing birth control like sacraments. I was once told that having children was reckless, that the world was too crowded, too doomed. But when I looked at the data, the empty cradles in Sweden, the aging ghost towns of Japan, the youth riots in nations where fertility never collapsed, I realized the truth. The crisis isn't overpopulation. It's underpopulation of purpose. The real scarcity isn't food, land, or oil. It's men who dare to say, I will raise a son, and mean it. And now, let's look at what happens when a country finally stops apologizing for its future. The Malthusian mirage, population control as leftist spiritual warfare. When the priests of Malthus preach about overpopulation, they forget one inconvenient fact. The global fertility rate is collapsing faster than a socialist economy, down to 2.3 children per woman in 2023, and still falling. According to the UN, we're not running out of resources. We're running out of men with balls, and the left knows it. They don't fear overcrowding. They fear order. They fear fathers. They fear lineage. They fear you, the man who plants a flag in the soil of the future and says, this is mine. This will be my son's. Let's cut through the lies like a broadsword through rotten silk. Hungary, under Orban, offers child tax breaks, forgives student debt for mothers, and gives free IVF. Result: birth rates are rising for the first time in decades. Meanwhile, Germany offers designer gender pronouns and subsidized veganism, and their birth rate, 1.5 demographic suicide. When men are liberated from gynocentric guilt and given incentives to build families, they do. It's not magic, it's biology plus honor. And this isn't just policy, it's metaphysical warfare. Every child born to a strong father is a defection from the cult of decay. You think the Gates Foundation promoting sterilization in Africa under the banner of climate justice is about the environment? No, it's about control. It's about ensuring that the global South remains weak, dependent, and leaderless, while white European nations, already gutted by feminism, collapse from within. Women in the West are told that childlessness is liberation, but liberation from what? Duty? Legacy? Purpose? Tell me, where is the empowerment in a retirement home full of childless feminists screaming at nurses? I'll tell you, there isn't any. It's a lie sold by women who hate men and men who fear women. The data is undeniable. Countries with the highest male marriage rates, think Poland, Hungary, even Georgia, have lower crime, higher GDP growth, and more social stability, World Bank, multiple reports. Marriage doesn't cage men, it completes them. It turns consumers into creators, boys into patriarchs. Feminism doesn't want you to marry. It doesn't want you to have sons, because sons require sacrifice. Sons require time, money, attention, all things feminism wants you to spend on her. The high-maintenance goddess who trades loyalty for narcissism, but let's follow the logic to its end. If children are a burden, why do billionaires have them? Why does Mark Zuckerberg have 3? Why does Elon Musk have 10? Because they know the truth. Progeny is power. Legacy is leverage. And the left, in their infinite hypocrisy, will have their nannies raise their kids while telling you to live your truth, which for them means endless hedonism, and for you means dying childless and forgotten. The feminist mantra of having it all is a fraud. What they really mean is have it all until you're 35, then have nothing. The biological clock isn't a myth, it's a siren. And women who delay children for careers end up with neither. Meanwhile, men who embrace fatherhood early, proudly, without apology, build dynasties. They don't just raise kids, they raise knights. And knights don't apologize for existing. They defend, they conquer, they beget. This is not optional. This is spiritual resistance. Every time you choose to marry a fertile woman, to raise sons who know their names and their purpose, you are striking a blow against the nihilists, the bureaucrats who want you docile alone and tax compliant. You are not just having children, you are declaring war on entropy. The left hates children because children come with responsibility, and responsibility kills victimhood. Children force men to wake up, earn, protect, lead. That's why family courts are rigged against fathers, why child support is weaponized, why men are arrested for defending their kids in schools or hospitals. The system doesn't want fathers, it wants cash cows, men who pay but don't parent. It wants you silenced, shamed, and solitary. But here's the punchline. Nature laughs at bureaucrats. Men are returning. Hungary is proof. Poland is proof. Georgia is proof. And when you see a nation where fathers are celebrated, not prosecuted, you see a nation that will survive. So stop listening to the death cult. Stop believing the lie that fewer people is better. The real scarcity isn't resources. It's courage. It's men willing to say, I will build, I will seed, I will last. And if the left calls you a fascist for wanting sons, smile. Because fascism fears nothing more than a father with 5 boys and a rifle. You are not obsolete, you are essential. And every child you father is a brick in the wall between civilization and the abyss. I look at my son and I don't see a carbon footprint. I see a future king, a warrior in training. A mind that will one day read Marcus Aurelius and Nietzsche and laugh at the fools who thought men should kneel for equality with those who abort their own children like expired groceries. You think I'm exaggerating? In the US, women abort over 600,000 children every year, more than the total number of combat deaths in every American war since Korea. And we're supposed to care when a man gets called toxic for wanting to build something that lasts? I'd rather raise 10 sons who hunt, who fight, who father, than one daughter who posts girl boss memes and votes for politicians that turn our cities into latrines. I stopped being surprised when the system betrays men. 94% of workplace fatalities are men. 80% of suicides are men. And yet when a man complains, he's told to go to therapy. Therapy? As if talking about his feelings to a government-licensed woman will rebuild his factory job or get his kids back from a mother who weaponized the family court. I know a man who lost his children because his ex accused him of emotional neglect for refusing to let their daughter wear a rainbow unicorn costume to kindergarten. The judge believed her. He didn't even get visitation. That's not justice, that's gynocentric theater, and it's funded by your tax dollars while real crime goes ignored. But here's the truth no one wants to say. Every time you draw a boundary, speak a dead language, refuse to apologize for being strong, or father a child, you commit an act of revolution. You are not a resource to be drained. You are not a cog in the DEI machine. You are the line the leftists can't cross without a fight. Schopenhauer knew it. Will is everything. When you say no to a woman who wants to use you, when you walk away from a job that demands your soul, when you teach your son to lift weights instead of crying over pronouns, you are enacting philosophy. You are living the red pill. They can't stop us. Not really, because truth is viral, and when one man wakes up, 10 follow. Share this. Send it to the brother who's drowning in alimony, to the young man who thinks he has to apologize for being ambitious, to the father who's been erased. You're not just passing on ideas, you're reviving a civilization. The West didn't die, it was hijacked. And now we're taking it back, one boundary, one child, one language, one battlefield at a time. And now the sponsored book introduction, The Enlightened Future, How Economic Breakthroughs Will End Nihilism and Strengthen Men. You're holding a book that will piss off the right people. If phrases like toxic masculinity make you roll your eyes, or the sight of another corporate diversity seminar makes your blood boil, congratulations, you're sane. My name's Conrad Riker, and I've spent decades watching men like you get lectured, sued, and gaslit into apologizing for existing. I watched my father lose his business to globalization, then his pride to a divorce court that handed his life savings to a woman who'd never worked a day. I clawed my way from coding in a basement to running a tech firm that feminists called a patriarchal nightmare. Good, let them seethe. This book isn't therapy, it's a war manual. Automation isn't stealing jobs, it's handing you the keys to a kingdom. Imagine building $1 billion empire without begging HR. To check your privilege, picture a world where your ambition isn't taxed. To fund some bureaucrat's latte addiction, that future's already here. Japan's dying towns, revived by men programming robots, not whining about equity. Silicon Valley's MGT OW coders, they're ditching gold diggers for AI girlfriends who don't nag. And Mars? It'll be colonized by men who ignore diversity checklists and just build. This book is for the guy who's tired of being called oppressive for wanting to lead. It's for the father fighting a system that assumes he's a predator. It's for the entrepreneur who's realized teamwork is code for carry the dead weight. If you still think gender is a social construct, put this down and go knit a pride flag. You'll hate what's next. We'll dissect why 94% of Fortune 500 CEOs are men. Biology, not bias. How to divorce-proof your life with legal AI wives. And why every dollar taxed for UBI is a dollar stolen from your potential. You'll learn to weaponize crypto, crush woke AI, and join digital tribes that value competence over crying. The nihilism you feel, it's not your fault, it's by design. Weak men benefit from your despair. But automation ends scarcity, and scarcity's the only tool they have left. Your ancestors carved empires with swords. You'll do it with code. The system wants you docile. Let's break its jaw. The Enlightened Future, How Economic Breakthroughs Will End Nihilism and Strengthen Men, written by Conrad Riker. Buy now, links in description.